All right, we're gonna do the Goose Island Beer Company. They're based out of Chicago, Illinois. It's a IPA, 55 IBUs, 5.9% alcohol by volume. It's hoppy, grapefruity, and refreshing. So
I remember these guys back in the 90s, probably mid 90s. I first started to learn about them, and their IPA was a classic back then. Cool.
nice pillowy head.
Yeah, beauty. And you can tell this beer's been around a little while too, because it has some, well, what were common then hops, but now kind of classic hops, like Cascades and Centennials in there. I mean, I remember a day when everything had Cascades in it, you know, just like nowadays everything has Citra and Mosaic and, you know, those ones. And, and they got some regular 2-row and some Munich in there and some Caramel 20.
Smells grapefruity.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It does. That's good.
How many IBUs on that?
That's 55.
Yeah. Nicely
it's there a
balanced.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Like hoppy in the start,
Yeah.
you know, and then it kind of gives way to a little malt hop sort of balance, you know, like not either one over the other at the end. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the first drink was great. It's actually a refreshing IPA. I don't know what it is with this trip, dude. All the IPAs we've had were pretty light,
Yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah.
It's
Just a
kinda-
little bit different.
Yeah.
55 IBUs back then in like mid 90s was probably pretty steep. Like
Yeah,
that was
oh,
that
yeah.
was pretty bold, you
Right.
know. People weren't trying to out hop each other. It's interesting because this being an English style of beer, all the English ones have less bitterness and less hops than the
Right.
American counterparts,
I
right?
know, right?
There was always a tendency for the American beers, whether it be ESBs or browns or IPAs or whatever we were taking from stouts, right? To be kind of a bigger and bolder and a little more than
Right.
than the English ones. But IPA in particular. But still, back then, you know, I think of some of the earlier IPAs like this one, and maybe even like Sierra and Hales had one, and you know, just some of the ones that were out at the time in the early to mid 90s, even later 90s, you know, when it was still kind of an emerging style, believe it or not. It wasn't like just 76 IBUs, 99,
Oh, yeah,
102,
I know.
you know. You didn't see that horse shit, right? People were still keeping it fairly true to style, you
Right.
know, just like with a little extra kick. But they were using some of those traditional American hops with maybe a little bit of the English stuff and, you know, like an English ale yeast or something. So there was kind of some adherence to a little bit of continental purity, right? But,
Right.
you know,
Well, yeah, and the thing with, as we discussed before, probably several times, is like this out hopping each other. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you're making it more boozy, but you're making it taste like everyone else's. You know, this is like
Yeah.
actually
It's a classic, and you
great.
can
Yeah.
tell. You can
Oh yeah,
taste
there's
it,
flavor
dude.
to it.
Yep, it stood the test of time, man.
Yeah.
I know they have a lot of different beers, but back then, to me, Goose Island was Goose Island IPA. I mean, this beer was them. They were this beer. Like, this is what made them for me, is this
Right.
beer. This is how I found out about them, was this beer. And so, I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but for me as a, you know, a beer drinker back then and being a brewer back then, this is like this is, they were built on this beer. You
Yeah.
know? This
Oh
is
yeah.
like the house
It was
that
like
fucking,
their foundation, really.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's awesome.
Just good kind of malty, hoppy balance, not super, you know.
Oh, and you got that like grapefruitiness to it a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of right up front, and then it kind of shows back up a little bit for me at the end, just barely. But
After a couple drinks, yeah.
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 But yeah, I mean, I could see some good spicy food with this one. Because I think the grapefruit would complement the spice a little bit, kind of cut through that.
Yeah.
So like a lot of pepper.
Like
pepper
the
bacon.
jambalaya we had last night.
Oh,
you know, with
yeah.
the sausage and red beans and rice and real tomatoey and everything.
Oh
you know.
yeah,
Fuck, oh,
that was
dear.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
tomato would be so
This would
great.
be
with
good. I
this.
mean, we put an IPA in there, but this one might even be a little better
yeah.
because it's a little maltier. You know?
I mean,
Some blackened pork chops or something on the
Oh,
bone,
yeah.
like blackened
Right?
up, and
Absolutely.
shit,
some ribs,
garlic mash with it, or some kind of ribs.
like a spicy barbecue, like a mesquite type of fucking.
Fuck yeah, yeah, real smoky and
Yeah.
Yeah, woody and earthy, and
Yeah, that'd be great.
you know, pastrami and corned beef, and
Yeah,
just kind
corned
of
beef.
fatty and rich and salty. It'd be fucking outstanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still 2 thumbs up after
Yeah.
fucking decades, man. These guys they're all right.